Okay. All right. I am Jeffrey Lipford, and I am interviewing James Thayer. It is October 18th, 2017, at about 11:30 a.m. We are in the Ruth Patrick Science Education Center at USC Aiken, and I am assisted by Charles Bobineau. So, when and where were you born?
I was born in Midwest City, Oklahoma in 1998.
Oh.
Sorry, 1988. Sorry.
Okay. And who were your parents?
Randall Thayer and Dylan Thayer.
Okay. Did you stay in Midwest City?
Until I was about 2. But, so we moved to Tennessee when I was about 2, and I've never been back to Oklahoma since. And I've flown over it a couple times, and I realize I'm not missing a whole lot. But,
All right. So, what was your life like growing up in general?
well, first thing is that I was homeschooled all 12 years, so I never had the traditional public or private school experience. I also grew up in a very rural area in a town of about maybe 1,000 people until I was about 15, and then at 15 I lived in Nashville, Tennessee, like the city itself. What else do you want to know? Or,
I'm curious, why were you homeschooled?
my mom wanted to homeschool me for religious reasons, and so she was the one that stayed home. Pretty much Dad went to work, and he was like, do whatever you want. I'm going to work.
Okay. What was your dad's job?
He works he works for General Motors in the assembly line.
Okay. Let's see. What people became important to you while you were growing up? Or, well, I mean, was there anyone outside your family?
I'm sure I had friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did you develop any interests or hobbies?
Probably about the time, probably the biggest interest I developed when I was a kid was playing with Star Wars cards. That lasted for a while. And then when I was about 16, I developed a interest in learning language.
Okay. And you're still involved in some of that now, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What activities or whatnot? You weren't. Never mind. Let's see. Did you go to college or any type of work after you left high school?
I took a couple of semesters at Columbia State Community College. I had some, and then I worked a few odd jobs because I graduated at 18, and then I didn't join the military until I was 20. Between those 2 years, let's see, so I worked at Applebee's for a few months. Worked at a bus station. Worked at a African grocery store in Nashville. So had some interesting experiences.
Okay. When you were in college, how did you like it?
I liked it better after the military.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on to the military, let's see. So you decided to join the Air Force, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why?
Because I think that was kind of what I always had in my head ever since I was a kid, was to join the Air Force. Obviously, every kid wants to be a fighter pilot. But then I realized, I'm actually good at language, so I'll become a linguist instead.
Okay. When and where did you enlist?
So I enlisted in Nashville in December of 2007. And I went to basic training in June of 2008.
Okay. How did your family and friends react?
Uh, Obviously, my parents were concerned. I mean, they're proud of me, but they were still concerned, like I think most parents would be when their kid joins the military.
Let's see. So, when you were in basic training, what kind of stuff did you do on an average day?
Uh, Run, march, get yelled at, eat, repeat. We did a lot of folding of clothes. So they had a lot of folding of clothes, a lot of t-shirt rolling. We didn't spend, let's see, being in the Air Force, we didn't, I'm going to be very stereotypical. We didn't spend a lot of time on weapons training. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Because Air Force, so basic training for us was only 6.5 weeks. So it was much shorter than the other branches.
All right. What was your drill sergeant like? Or sergeant?
She was a terrifying lady. She was probably about this tall. But her name was Sergeant Hurt. And she lived up to her name. Yeah.
What was the hardest part
The hardest part?
of basic training? Yeah.
For me, it was not getting enough sleep. Because I was used to enjoying my sleep. But since then I realized it's really overrated.
How many hours of sleep did you get?
It really depended on the day. Sometimes 4 or 5, sometimes 7. Which now that's great to me. But back then I was like, how do people survive this? I don't understand.
Do you think basic training changed you, and if so, how so?
Did it change me as a person?
Mm-hmm.
No, not really. It helped me, obviously, learn how to march. And it helped me to learn, if they give you the opportunity to pee, go pee, because you don't know when you'll be able to go next. But as a person now, it didn't really change me that much.
Okay, so it just taught you some basic skills and stuff, but that's
Yeah.
okay. What was your AFCS? Or your job or whatever?
Oh, AFSC.
AF. Okay, my bad.
I was like, what's AFCS? So I was a 1 and 3, which means I was a linguist. Well, specifically, I was a ground linguist.
Or what's that mean?
So you have so I was a 1 and 3 X1, which means, so I was a ground linguist. That meant that I was not part of air crew.
Okay, so it meant you were down on the ground actually talking to people.
No.
Or what?
No. it just meant I wasn't going to be doing my job on a plane.
Okay. So, I mean, like, what specifically were you trained to do?
I was trained to understand language.
Okay, so you were.
I'm telling you what I can tell you.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I was like, you understand?
I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you do any training after basic training?
Yeah. So after basic training, I went to language school. Spent about a little over a year there. So my specialty, I was a Pashto linguist. After that, I went to Goodfellow Air Force Base in Texas. Spent about a month there in training, and then I came here to Fort Gordon, and I got stationed here, and I've been here ever since.
Okay. So, let's see, what kind of stuff did you do at Fort Gordon?
Air Force things.
Okay. Let's see, now you were also deployed to Afghanistan at one point, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how long were you there?
I was there for about 5 months.
Okay. And when did you leave?
So I got there in September 2011, and I left in February 2012.
Okay. Let's see. And you were still doing linguistic stuff there too?
I was part of an air crew, I can tell you that much.
Okay. Did you encounter any dangerous situations?
Mostly when they shot rockets and mortars at us. I'd say it was a little bit dangerous. But as far as like actually being face to face with somebody trying to kill me, no.
Okay. Who was in charge of you? Or what was the person like who was in charge of you?
What do you mean?
I mean, just like, was there anything notable about the people in charge of you, or anything important about that?
Nothing really out of the ordinary.
All right.
I mean, trying to see, like, can you narrow it down by what you mean by notable?
I mean, just anything that might be interesting, or I don't know.
No, not in particular.
Okay. Throughout your time in the military, did you meet anyone that you still stay in contact with?
I've met a lot of people that I still stay in contact with.
Okay. So, how do you stay in contact with them?
I mean, a lot of them are still, a lot of them still live here. Phone, Facebook, social media.
Okay.
Yeah. And frequency of contact varies.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say about your time in the military before we move on to your education?
No, not really.
Okay. So, why did you decide to leave the Air Force?
So I enjoy working with language. I enjoy working with linguistics, and I still enjoy my job now, and what I do now is what I did in the Air Force. But I decided that I would rather have the freedom to leave when I wanted, which was not is not an option when you're in the military. You go where they tell you to go, and you stay where they tell you to stay. And I decided I didn't want that.
Okay. So when did you leave?
October 2014.
Okay. And you had gotten to rank E5, right?
Correct.
Okay. Did anyone react in any way or how did people react when you left?
Some people tried to get me to stay. I wasn't having it. So other people that had previously gotten out, like I had mixed reactions. Like people that had gotten out before me, they were pretty happy about it themselves. Then I talked to other people who had been out for 20 years and were telling me how much they wish I'd stayed or wish they'd stayed. Even my dad was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, are you sure you want to get out?" Yes, Dad, I'm sure.
All right. So did it feel any different to be a civilian?
Felt great.
All right. Let's see. So what did you do after you left?
Like I said, I stayed in the language field, which is currently that's the job I currently hold. So I started going here to USC Aiken before I got out in the fall of 2012, and I went part-time while I was in, and then by the time I got out, I just decided it would be easier for me to stay here and finish rather than try and transfer somewhere.
Okay. So, and you're still doing part-time work and part-time education, right?
Full-time work, I'm only taking part-time classes this year. Then next semester I'll be back to full-time classes.
Okay. So, let's see, so going back to college was pretty easy for you, I guess.
Yeah. Going back to, because I wouldn't even call it going back to college because I'd already been going to college while I was still in, so.
Yeah, okay.
So it was like.
So continuing college.
It was continuing college. It wasn't anything really new for me.
Okay. Do you think USCA is a good place for student veterans?
Yeah. 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 Even before I got out and started utilizing the Veteran Center. I actually didn't even know about the Veteran Center until I got out, really. But even before that, even just the university itself, they're very veteran friendly.
Let's see. Is there anything you like to do in your spare time?
What is this spare time you speak of?
Okay, you don't have no spare time.
No. Not really. I guess still between work and school and occasionally going to the gym and then all the beer that negates going to the gym. No, it's not a whole lot.
Okay. Let's see. So you haven't started a family or anything?
No. I do have a pet tortoise.
Okay. Do you think you ever will in the future?
Hopefully after I graduate.
Okay. So, and then after you graduate, Yeah, are you thinking of continuing the same job or what?
So after I graduate, I'm going to pursue my graduate degree in applied linguistics or second language acquisition.
Okay. And what are you planning to do with that?
Teach English as a foreign language overseas.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go back to the military for one thing to ask one question.
Okay.
So you said your mother was religious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, did the being in the military change you in any way in regards to that?
No.
Okay. Let's see. So now, to conclude, is there anything you wish more people knew about the military or about student veterans?
I don't really know.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say before we stop recording? Or any interesting stories or anything, whatever?
No, that's all I can think of right now.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time and thank you for your service.
Thank you.